Thank you very much. So now we know we will be here a little bit longer, unfortunately, due to the circumstances. I think we all saw that coming, but now there may be even more reason why you're exploring the video option for either adding a little bit more to your lesson, adding some personalized messages for your students, or maybe just for your own, personal development in addition to professional development. So I will start by letting you know I am recording this session for right now. There will be either this one or another version of this exact presentation available on my YouTube channel later this week. So if you need to relive this, I'm going to let you know ahead of time that in 30 minutes, we are going to go through essentially a whole marking period's worth of instruction. So I'm going to try to give you the highlights, the most important things I think you should take away if you're going to get started doing video. I'll give you some basic tips of what you should do to have great video, and then we'll talk a little bit about the most basic trimming and get into nonlinear editing before we're done. Some very high-tech terms, but you will know them well by the time we're finished. And think of this almost like a part 2 for those who are joining tomorrow with the advanced video editing. I want to make sure you're all on the same page of how to capture video, what it looks like to trim a video. And then tomorrow, if you are joining us for advanced video editing, we will go a little bit more in depth in far as adding effects, transitions, how to export your video and settings to look for. But for right now, we are going to start at a very beginner level, from the idea of making sure you know where your camera is, what good lighting, good sound can sound like, and then how to trim the clips for what you need. And like I said, get into some very basic editing. That's what today's goal is. I will be moving very quickly. I don't expect that you're going to really be able to quote unquote follow along at the pace that we're moving, but know that you will be able to play this video back. So in case you missed something, just pay attention best you can and know that you'll be able to watch this video later and walk yourself through these steps. I will be bouncing back and forth between my on-camera computer, my desktop, and then also I will refer back to my phone when it's appropriate. But right now, I did make a couple of slides that I think would be helpful to have you understand some of the basic things about video. So let me go back to my presentation now. I'll add too, I forgot to mention, if you have a question, feel free to unmute yourself at that point and just say it out loud. Or if you want, you can go ahead and use the chat window, and I will check back and forth every once in a while to try to catch up on some questions you may have. So you want to edit a video, right? That's what we're talking about. So these are the highlights of what we're going to go over in the next 27-ish minutes. Basic video, how to get started, the apps you really should have in order to get the most out of your video experience. Where does your recording go when it is completed? How to start trimming, some very basic trimming. Advanced nonlinear editing, as I mentioned earlier, and then how to upload and share this video with students. So in order to do that, let's get into what video looks like and how to have the best video. Now, I think most of you already know this, but unless you're on Snapchat or TikTok or in the occasional Instagram, the majority of video is not shot vertically with your phone up and down. It's supposed to be horizontal. Think of what your computer monitor looks like or what your television set looks like. If it's up on the wall, it's not hanging vertically, it's hanging horizontally. So the best video is going to be shot horizontally. And that doesn't speak for just, our virtual environment right now. I can tell you that your social media district EHT station manager will thank you if you shoot things horizontal, because usually I have to edit them, and it always makes for a better video if you have it all consistent and you have it shot horizontally. So if you're not already in this habit, try to make it a habit going forward. Also, from the fact that when you go to export your video, we'll talk about exporting in a little bit, to have it be the correct export settings and to get, like I said, the best video quality, the largest video size that it can be, it should be horizontal for that reason. If you go vertical, you end up with those like black bars on the side, just doesn't look great. So this is one way to get started to make sure you shoot it in the correct format. Now, moving on, other things you can do to make sure that you have your best appearance. So this is not just from webcams, but also for iPhones. I did include a couple of video clips in this presentation just to show you what the difference of what these different angles make. So we've all seen people when we've been on these Google Meets or Zoom sessions or whatever they might be, of people shooting with have their webcams on and their laptop is sitting all the way down low, and then you end up with a shot that looks like mine. I end up with about 8,000 chins. You see right up my nose. Not a good look, right? So here's an example of a not attractive view of your camera. Ugh. Right? Don't like showing that video, but I think that helps illustrate the fact that depending what view you're looking at this on right now, if you're watching the YouTube version of this later, you are going to see me on camera, and you're going to notice that my camera for my webcam sits up a little bit higher than eye level. So how do you do that with your phone? Think of all like those Instagram influencers. They always seem to shoot a little bit above their head and talk to the camera. That's just a more conversational, friendly approach. Or you can make your own kind of thrown together tripod. Right now on my phone, even though you can't see it, I have a water bottle set up, and I have my phone setting on the water bottle just a little bit higher so that when I go back to my phone, it's actually a little bit above eye level. You don't have to get sophisticated and go buy a tripod. You can just sit it on something a little bit higher, and that will be all the difference. It could be a box. It could be a tissue box. It could be pretty much anything you have laying around to just lean your phone up just a little bit higher. And that, again, is just going to give you a better quality video. Lighting really matters too. So looking to my examples at the bottom of the screen here, sitting in front of a window, you might think that's a better idea because it seems like it's well lit. But as you can tell from this screenshot, this gentleman ends up being more of a silhouette because of the way that the camera takes in light. It's searching for all the light available. So if it's brighter behind you, it's going to take that light in, and then what's ever in the foreground is going to end up being dark. So thinking also to being in a dark room, if you have your laptop turned on or a Chromebook or whatever it might be, and that's the only light, kind of ends up making you look a little ghostly. Again, not the best look you could get. And I'll show you the difference in this video clip here, what it looks like if you use the light to your advantage of a window, and then what happens if you turn it around. Oops, go back. This is what it looks like when you're sitting in front of a window. This is what happens when you sit with the window behind you. And you can see within just a few seconds, the camera on your phone automatically adjusts to take in all that light. And then it ends up being really washed out. And it could, depending on the time of day, end up like the picture in that far left corner. So I recommend, when it's possible, to try to use a window light to your advantage, to have it shine into your face, and then have your camera or your phone stand in between you. And you can see in that bottom corner the difference of sitting in front of a window versus using the window to your advantage. The video quality, again, it's just a lot better. And you already know that if you can avoid different background noises as much as possible, we're all working in these environments that we're working inside of. For me, it seems like almost every time I get into Google Meet, my dogs suddenly have to fight over one toy. I don't know why, because it doesn't happen any other time, but all of a sudden they'll start barking. So, if you're recording a video, it makes sense to not use the version of my dogs barking in the background. I'll have to re-record it. Or maybe I'll have to assemble it that one part of it was good, and then use another part where I had to do a retake for the second part, and then assemble them together. So that's where the video editing comes into play. So these are some quote unquote must-have apps. They are iPhone specific. So I did title this that it's an iPhone course because the majority of phones that people have are iPhones. That's not to say you couldn't take these same principles and translate them to an Android. I just myself don't have an Android to demonstrate to you. But the concepts behind it are exactly the same. Now, I would think it's safe to say we know where our camera is on our phone. If you didn't, that's what the camera icon looks like on your phone. You know how to take pictures with it. You know how to do video. It's really just the difference of turning it on to camera or to photo mode or video mode, and you just hit record. Very simple compared to the VHS tapes back in the day. Same concept. You hit record, turn it on, turn it off. But obviously, this is a much easier way to do that, right? So we're going to move past the step that you already know how to record video, because I think that's a general assumption here. Where we're going to move on to is how to clean up your shot video. And you'll have to go into the Photos app on your phone. That's the icon for your photos. That's where you go to clean them up. Now, I will say that from the beginner level, like we're talking super low beginner level here. That's where if you have one take that you're overall happy with, but maybe you want to trim the beginning and the end off, maybe you had to hit record, run, to the back of the room to get your shot, and then run up and hit stop record again. You don't want that beginning and end piece. You just want the good part in the middle. That's where one take video editing is going to come from inside the photo app. Now, if you want to go to the next level, which I'll touch on a little bit later, that's when you get into non-linear editing, which just like it sounds means that you film things out of order, you can move things around, and you talk about like the old school video editing where the back in the day, the 80s, the 90s, you needed like a whole room of equipment with multiple TVs and you had to record in a certain order. That was called linear editing. Non-linear editing means it doesn't matter what order things were recorded in. It's all digital and you can click and drag and drop into the positions that you needed to. So I could have recorded something today and yesterday. And if I want the today thing to be at the beginning of my video and then the second part to be the thing I recorded previous, that doesn't matter. So all of that will be played around with inside of the iMovie app. Again, that's going to be specific to iPhone users. There are several different video editing apps out there. I could give you some recommendations if you want to go a little bit further than this. But as I mentioned, this is also going to be kind of a beginner level, and then we'll move into a part 2 with WeVideo tomorrow for those of you who are sitting in on that. So that is a higher level video editing software that's available online. And, depending on the level of editing you want to get into, iMovie is free for iPhone users. There's some basic ones for your phones that are about $5 or $10 if you want to get to the next level. WeVideo, I'll talk about this more tomorrow, but you can start out with the free level and then get into a paid subscription, or you can get into where I am with Final Cut Pro and it's $300. So there's quite a gamut of options out there depending how high tech you want to get. But we will start again, as I said, at this beginner level. The other apps that I recommend that you have on your phone, if you don't have them already, would be Google Drive and Google Classroom. Especially in this virtual environment, I would think nowadays you'd especially want to have these on there. But having them installed before you get into the editing is helpful, because then when your video is complete, you can automatically push your finished video into Google Drive or post it on Google Classroom all in one nice clean step. Otherwise, it's going to be stuck in your phone. You got to figure out a way to get it up online to then post it onto like your Chromebook. And it's a whole lot of extra steps. But if you have these apps already on there, then that will save you some time. So at this point, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop this presentation. I'm going to switch over to my phone, which, like I said, there will be some delay when I show you this. I found this out the last time I presented, that it's not perfect, but it should get the job done for at least having a visual for you. All right. At this point, you should see my iPhone screen. It's got my cute dog in the background, Dodge. Everybody loves him. He's great. Puggles, totally endorse them. But you're going to see that where I'm going to right now is into my photos area, which is my top row. When I click on photos, I will, again, please keep in mind your screen is going to be a little delayed from what I'm working with in real time. I have some video clips that I shot this morning. I know I could have gone a little more academic with this video. I could have, described an art piece or demonstrated how to do a math problem or a science experiment or something. I thought I would go a little more lighthearted and just go with my dogs this morning. I hope that the information will still transfer just the same. So moving on, I have some different clips of my dogs. I also have an intro clips explaining the 3 dogs that I have, which between them will end up being about four clips altogether. Now, this one 19-second clip, which is just a close-up of me. Now, keep in mind, I shot this over my head, as I mentioned. So it's a better view. I'm using the light of the window to my advantage. It's a well-lit shot. You will not be able to hear the audio in this Google Meet, so don't, it's nothing. It's just the technology. You're not going to be able to hear it, but just know that I do have audio that I can play. Now, if you're looking on my screen, you can see that I have a couple of buttons here. Like I said, many of you may be familiar with these options already. that first bottom left option, it has like a little arrow indicating that I could share that. If you're happy with it the way it was, you probably already know that you can share, a video with through a text message or post it on Facebook or something like that. That didn't change. But what we're going to do now is if we wanted to trim, remember I said we're trimming the beginning and the ending off. If I go to edit in the top right corner, you're going to see I end up with a timeline down at the bottom. And I can kind of scroll through and see what my video looks like. Now, anything that's yellow right now is what is going to stay in the final video edit. So you're not going to be able to take out pieces in the middle. This is only to trim the beginning and trim the end if you needed to. So you're selecting the part you want to keep by hovering over. I'm just going to keep that right there. So you can see like it's about 2 minutes in before, or sorry, 2 seconds in before I start talking. So I'm going to start right about there. And I reach up to turn the camera off. So I want to end it right about there. And now my video is nice and trimmed. It's the way I want. I can hit done. And then you will get an option for you to either save a video or save it as a new clip. Neither of these have anything wrong with them. Just keep in mind that if you hit save video, you're kind of overriding your original. There's nothing wrong with that. Unless you did want to save the full length video. If you had a 10-minute video and you wanted to keep it 2 minutes to post online somewhere, if you hit save video, it's going to override your 10-minute original. If you hit save video as a new clip, it'll make itself a copy and you still have your full length. So again, it's just a matter of what you prefer. I'm going to hit save. Actually, before I hit that, I'm going to hit cancel. You also can add different filters and things like that, just like you would for some of the other social media sites. So if I go down to where the 3 like Venn diagram of the circles are down at the bottom, I can change the color. So I'm going to go like this black and white here. And the reason why I'm doing that is I want to make sure that you see that we're using this edited clip in iMovie. So when I'm done, I'm going to hit done. I'm going to hit save as a new clip. And depending on how long your clip is or what it is you did to it, sometimes this is super fast. Other times, if you had a longer video, you can expect that the time for it to do its thing takes a little bit longer. So I'm going to close out of that now, and I'm going to go over to iMovie. So iMovie is that star with the purple background on the left side. I'm going to click this. Now, if this is your first time inside of iMovie, you may be prompted with do you want to make a project or a trailer before you even get to this step? So just know that because I've used iMovie before, that's why I'm not getting that screen right now. Instead, I'm going to hit create project, and then I'm going to get this pop up. So movie would be really what we're going to try to accomplish in a few minutes. A trailer has a purpose. They can be super cool. It's sort of a drag and drop preset with some music, and you can add text. It's already sort of ready to go, and you're just adding your own clips. Again, they have their purpose, but for what we're trying to do right now, and usually the majority of the things you're trying to do, you want to make this a movie, not a trailer. You're starting from scratch, not doing it from a trailer. So at this point, it's asking which clips would I want to bring in. Now you can bring in photos, you can bring in videos. Nothing says you have to only use video if you want to make like a slideshow or something. But I'm going to bring in, and I'm going to want the video clip of each dog. So all together right now, I am bringing in 4 clips in total once the computer catches up. And then I'm going to hit create movie. Now by default, it drops all the video clips in order. So it just assumes that you're just going to want to have those 4 clips and it's going to be in that specific order, and it's not going to have anything trimmed. So this is where your movie magic is going to come in. So if I scrub through, this is called scrubbing through to be able to watch the video and play it back, I can still trim video from here. So what I showed you in the photos area, that would have worked if I only had 1 clip to work with. But if I'm merging multiple clips together, I still can trim inside of here. So let's say this video clip, I know I'm going to want to trim it. So I select right on that clip and I click and drag it a little bit in. And anything that's yellow, it's going to keep. So right now, the original was about 14 seconds long. I'm going to start right about there. Right about there seems okay. And now by default, they throw in transitions. Transitions are how the video clip goes from one clip to another. By default, it's going to add a dissolve. A dissolve lets you see one video start to fade away from the other one. You can actually see if I put my timeline right there, you can see that when it catches up, I have a little bit of both clips happening during that transition. There are different kinds of transitions. Dissolve is a very common one. But if you want to change it, you just have to click right where that transition piece is and choose one of the other ones that are there. Now, slide is one, wipe. Fade will be more like it'll go from a full picture down to black and then come back up as a full picture. So if I watch that same clip again, right in the middle, you'll see right in this middle piece, it actually will go completely to black. So if I rewind and hit play, you're going to see it goes from the video clip and back up to the shot of my dog. And I can go back and rewind this as many times as I want to be able to make that distinction. But I don't want this one dog I have up here for 7 seconds. I think that video clip feels too long for what I wanted to do. So I could trim the length of that video, that piece right there, and leave her on screen for maybe about 3 seconds. The next dog I have up there, he's already only at 2.7 seconds. So I think that's going to be just fine. And then this guy is the camera ham. So I'm going to adjust him down back to 3 seconds and leave in the dog bark part. He's howling because he's part beagle. Okay, so let's say maybe I wanted to add a little more pizzazz to this. I actually can add text to appear up while the video is on screen. So let's say I wanted to add my dog's name while the dog is on screen. As long as I have that clip selected, you're going to see in the bottom row that there's like a pair of scissors, there's a clock, there's an audio indicator, and then there's a T. T is going to be for text. And you can choose from the presets that are in here what kind of text you would like to have appear. So if I go with this first one, I can just go ahead and click to type right in there. Can spell her name. Okay. And for any extra text that might appear with that preset, you can X out of it and not keep it. But you will not be able to move it around. So that is one of the limitations with that free iMovie, that you can't like position it in certain places. If it's in the middle, if that's what the preset is, you're stuck with it being in the middle, good or bad. That's where a more advanced video editing software would be a nice feature. But once I hit done, now I can just see that Riley will appear when Riley's on screen. I could do it again and add a different kind of text for Ben. And then the last one being right here, and I could have it say Dutch. Okay. And just like that, I'm happy with the video. I like that my text is all in the places I have it. And when I'm all complete, I have to hit done in the top left corner. When I do that, it's going to bring me to this sort of home screen. Now, keep in mind, in its current form, it's still a video project. It's important that you know the difference. If you don't go through the settings of sharing the video or exporting the video, it's not actually done all the way. You're not going to find this finished video. Any of the students in the Communications Academy will tell you that if you start out and you share a project compared to sharing an exported video, the person on the receiving end is not going to be able to watch the video because it's still in like a computer encryptic background and it's not finalized into a completed video. So that's why you have to finish these last steps. So when I go to hit share, I will see there's a couple of options here. I'm talking about export project and save video. I'm not going to go into the details of export project right now because at the beginner level, it's not important for you to know the difference because we're going to move into what export as a term means tomorrow. But if you save your video by hitting save right here, you will get a export size pop-up. Now, depending on what you're using this for or where you're sharing it to, the file size may or may not matter to you. The smaller you go, yes, it will be a smaller file size, but the quality of your video is going to be brought down dramatically. Whereas if you go all the way up to HD 1080, like that's like your TV screen high quality. So I'm going to say the majority of time, you're probably going to want something between that medium size and that 720 HD. I'm going to say 720 HD because at least it'll still be high definition, but it's not such a large version of high definition. So if you're really not sure which one to pick, the 720 is probably a safe bet, and it'll not be as large a file as it could be, but still be at a pretty good high quality. Now you can see I got the pop-up when it was completed that it exported to my photo library. So if I went back into my photos, which I'll do now, hit export, go back into my photos, you're going to see that now I have a video that's 27 seconds long, and this is my finished video. Again, you'll have to excuse the fact you're watching this in a delay, but it does have audio, and I could take this video, I could share it right here, and I could put it, I would be able to hit more for me, I believe. And then you're going to see, because I have Google Classroom listed on here, I could post it right to Google Classroom. I have Google Drive on here. I could put it right to Google Drive. And it would just take that little bit of setup if you don't already have those apps turned on for you to be able to have it linked. And then you could just post it, like I said, right to Google Classroom or right to a folder on Google Drive. And it's ready to go for you. I know that was a lot of information, as I said, to have to present an entire video editing lesson in only 25-ish minutes. I think that hopefully that got your feet wet, but I will hang out for another couple minutes if you have any questions about video. Other than that, thank you very much for joining me, and I hope that will get you going on doing some video editing.